Hi, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing today on Conscious Business Zone with Nicky Hamid. Hi, Nicky. How are you?
Hi, Larry. I'm just great. It's lovely
Uh,
to be here, and I'm excited.
Me too. So, Nicky was kind enough to figure out the time difference so he could be on because he lives in New Zealand. And Nicky, I'm going to read a little bit about him so that you guys can tell how special he is. If When I posted the Conscious Business Zone, uh, the ad for this, people said he is the very best spiritual teacher ever. So I want you all to know about his work and use him as a resource because I think you'll see this is a remarkable man and a remarkable opportunity. So he says, Nicky descended fully into his body in 1984 with a full awakening of his kundalini. It took him 6 months to bring himself properly back into his body. With constant 24/7 application from a no mental mind state, while at the same time teaching university classes. He's a university professor in New Zealand, which helped him stay in touch with the matrix reality. As a young boy, he was mentored in the ancient mystical schools by masters of the Great Council, known also then as the Great White Brotherhood. And I have a connection with the MAP team from the Great White Brotherhood. I use that to help my friends and family. So I no wonder why I resonate with you. His mission has been one of empowering others to live more fully from their own knowing of universal principles and to ground that reality of their loving, joyful, playful, and creative beingness here and now. So with that, okay, so Nicky, how did you teach school and go through that awakening? That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
How'd you
yeah,
do
yeah. How? Yeah, it sounds very lofty, but I think I was trained from very young to be able to live in two worlds and uh, find the best in both worlds, both
that?
in the matrix and in, if you like, the inner. And so, on the one hand, as a boy, I was sporty and into sport, and I love rugby, which is a contact sport, and
Mhm.
it appears very aggressive, but I loved it. I love being in the body. I love being with a team of others, and I just so enjoyed it. At the same time, every night since I can remember, very, very young, I used to pray. And my prayers gradually became ones of uh, finding the difficulties. For example, there were having people I didn't like or who did not like me, and I would very quickly learn to put that into my prayer at night and say, "Well, they are a beautiful being of God. Help me to see that, and help them to see there are no threat to them." And so it was, if you like, clearing was part of my dynamic from a very young age. And so it sort of occurred naturally.
So but you see things, you see other beings, you see, and I sense things. I don't always see, but you see. Have you
Yeah.
always, from a young child, have you always been able to see?
Yes, I have, but because I was very immersed in the matrix, I would forget that I was able to and have to remember. So it was a knowing. I've always known things there, but not always seen them. I
Ah,
saw them when I was very young, and then if you like that as Wordsworth says, it fades into the light of common day.
Beautiful.
my gift, if you like, or our knowing. But later on, as I would work with people consciously with my clinical work, um, what happened is that the speaking and the seeing came forward. So when I started my clinical work way back in the 70s and 70s, I wouldn't see what was behind the other person, but I would get the knowing of what was upon them.
Perfect.
And I would be looking at them as a human, not as a soul being, but the soul being was coming through
Right.
and odds or whatever was coming through. But I didn't see them, luckily, because that would have interfered. I could relate them person to person. And so
Uh,
that has been at the forefront.
the part that I'm fascinated about is the matrix, being able to have your foot in both worlds, because I think that's where we are right now. And your experience, since you've been doing this so long, how do you help others? Because you are the most generous and giving man I've met. How do you help others live, put in both worlds? Because that's the dilemma I see that we're in right now.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. Oh, well, it's very simple, but the simple is always difficult because humans love to scare themselves. Humans love to make a mountain out of a molehill,
Yeah.
right? So the key for me is playfulness.
Oh,
It's playfulness. It's like Jesus said, "Except ye be as little children, ye cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven."
ah,
It's what's missing. What people are seeking is their own innocence.
innocence. Mm-hmm.
Their innocence, and the innocence of the child. Who, when you're 2 years old, you know nothing. You don't know anything, and so if you're not in a trauma situation, everything is pure game. You know, a heat of love is not hot until you ruin it. But everything is there in front of you in the moment for experience. And when nothing's happening, what do children do? They pretend, they play. I mean, I don't know about you, but as a child, and I see, I hear from other people the same thing, when you're playing, say with your dolls or whatever, most of the time when you play with a friend, you are making up the game rather than actually playing it. So we love to pretend and we create from pretending.
Oh, that's beautiful. So I want you to know we've got people here from Uganda, from UK, Lisa Lowry, Benedict Davis, Noel and Bob Warner, John Sentimo, Elsie. I mean, some people are saying that they're having a little problem understanding your audio. So I don't know if there's anything you can do.
I'm hearing a feedback.
Yeah, maybe could you turn your volume down,
Okay.
and maybe that'll help. But you all, his accent is, you have to get used to, if you're American, his accent is
Kiwi.
is strong.
It's Kiwi.
It's wonderful.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. Thank you. And now we got Stormy Strauss. So Noel and Bob put, humans love to scare themselves, make the simple complicated. Who, me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Noel does laughter yoga. So you have to understand she gets it. She gets
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so as a university professor teaching psychology, I there was the psychology that's accepted, and the psychology that is still taught today. And I had the mystical understanding, and so psychology and what it taught was far short of what I knew
Right.
people want.
Right.
People want what they were coming for. And the same in my teaching. So I taught statistics, research. I taught experimental psychology, and I avoided teaching personality and things like that because my understanding and what they were teaching was so different. However, what I did is I did research well. I published papers, and university loves you doing research and publication, right? And so I did that part, but that gave me the freedom to offer the courses I wanted. And I offered courses like Psychology East and West, Human Potential, and Self-Awareness. Those three courses I offered right through my career. And they didn't have a clue what I was teaching. They weren't interested. They were interested in the other. So that kept them quiet. I could play that game, and I enjoyed it, but I had the freedom to teach what I wanted. And so I had lots of students coming into the classes and getting this stuff, and it's not the stuff university normally teaches. But I do it quiet. I do it under the rug.
Well, and that's actually what's charming about all of this is that the profound knowledge that you share about human potential is you ooze it, and the love of it being is so clear and available from you. So everyone's saying your sounds much better. John's saying he loves human potential. And people are from Canada. You've got people from all over, which makes sense because his website is globalmissionoflove.com. It's a new website, and it's beautiful. And on his website, once you get on it, you'll be able to see that he has several books that are quite profound. The book that I wanted to mention was the book that he wrote about 2012, since we are almost in 2020. And I think the big change from 2012 was we don't have to go through a near-death experience in order to wake up now. Thank goodness. We don't have to lose everything and shift. But what are you seeing from 2012 to now? What are you seeing? Because I think you're an optimist like I am, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what are you seeing is more people are waking up.
Yeah. So, you know the saying, an optimist sees a cup half full and the pessimist half empty. Well, if you take 2012, our cup was half full. What from then to now, we've been filling up the rest.
Okay.
And the next step is when it overflows. When it overflows, and it flows to everyone, everything, and we touch it because we're so full of love that we don't even have to think about it. We become it.
Right.
That's the step. So, yeah, simple again. It's simple because that's the truth. We are beings of light. We are mighty beings. Soul. The ascension for me is a descension. Coming into embodiment. The mighty soul being you are is coming into embodiment, or if you like, an aspect of the mighty soul you are, is in embodiment. That's why it came here. We heard the call, and the call was Earth's in trouble, humanity's in trouble,
yep.
And we need your light.
Right.
We need light.
And it looked like an easy job.
Well, we thought, yeah.
Oops, wrong planet. Well, hopefully we're on multiple planets at the same time. Some of them were at the beach with our feet in the water, and we're here doing this one. So John just put, he's a true professor of happiness. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, well,
But,
is it okay if I tell them a little bit about my story with you, and then I'd love to hear some stories too. I got to meet with you. I don't know, must have been months ago, maybe 2 months ago, I guess. I don't know. And I was asking, well, it was 10 o'clock at night at my house because you're in New Zealand, and we talked until 12. And the big aha, I was telling Brian Luke Seward this last night, but it was profound. And this has changed my life. And you just sort of just did it like you do. And what it was is I have always been aware that I have a group of beings around me. I've known since I was a little girl, since I was 8, and I've known things and seen things. And just like you, I learned to keep my mouth shut, and because it wasn't. I was afraid of being found out, kind of. So anyway, but you and I were talking, and I brought up an issue about current events, and I said something about, oh well, if that happens, I'll be recycled. It'll just be the next incarnation. You go, oh no, you're a warrior for love, and I said, I am. What is that? And you said, well, do you feel the angels you have around you? And I said, yes, there's a big one on the right and there's a big one on the left, and then there's my little group behind me that's always been with me. And Nicky had me do a process that had me integrate and bond and meld with my beings. And it just tears coming down my eyes. It was so beautiful. I've never, and the first thing was, it's like, why hadn't I done that before? It was so simple. They've been hanging around waiting for me to work with them. And I had no idea. I just was like, oh, I feel more secure because they're there.
yeah, you're like in the,
I was using them.
yeah, you're like in the hand of a giant being. You know, you're being cradled in the hand of a giant being, and there's always safety because you're not alone. And I'd say that to every person who's present here. You're not alone, but we don't acknowledge how mighty we are, and that they are there as our friends to help us. But we have free will. We must ask, and we continue to ask them to be present until we feel confident enough to meld with them, because we're one.
That's right. Well, I've done it a lot since we had that experience. I had a healer here, and he was doing processes with us. So I used the 12th dimensional one, and he was like, when you like it, because he was trying to, we were phasing in and out of this 3D, and he was trying to see what we do, and I just pulled my higher being in, and we had it was amazing. It was amazing. That's all I can say. So, but can you? So how, when you work with people, do you work one-on-one like you did with me with a phone call, or do you do? I know you sell books, but how do people get to, besides these wonderful interviews that you do? How do people get to have a deeper conversation with you?
Well, my major work is Facebook. I have posted on Facebook for 10 years, twice a day, almost every day.
Right.
And what happens is that now, and there's a huge family there, Both my Facebooks are full, but it doesn't matter. You can follow me. Everything written there is an activation. Everything is written there is an, well, I don't like the word like activation, but people understand what I
Yes.
mean. Okay, so is an activation, and the activation is the words and the energy behind them, and you and your heart. All right, and so people find, I mean, some people have been on for 2 years and they get the aha. They suddenly realize that what they've been resonating with was already theirs. It was already theirs. And that's why that book that I've written on the shift in 2012, it, all of it is relevant for now.
That,
But this relationship that develops. So in the word, people will pick um, a particular posting and it will be just right for them in
uh,
that moment.
they're
And
they're amazing. They're amazing. They're beautifully written. The resonance in them, you can feel it. I see why you're saying your activations.
yeah,
Saving them somewhere else so that you can make another book, or
yes, I'm going to put it into a series starting next year on Amazon, a series of short reads because our attention is short, we get distracted, and that is, if you like, the greatest fetter or load that people are carrying at the moment. There's so much available, you get distracted. And what you get distracted from, you get distracted from how mighty and amazing and beautiful you are, as you are in this moment. And that you have, every single one of you has an entourage of beings who have always been there, but now it's close. And the distractions you look for is the pull towards the 3D, and it's in your face. So you've got to have it in your face. But this is different. This entourage, your family, your soul family, is in the subtle feeling, in the feelings that cannot be spoken of. And it's real. It's close for everyone.
yes.
You just have to get out of your own way and laugh about it.
Well, okay, so I want you to know Stormy Strauss says thank you so much for posting on Facebook, and Diane Nelson, I love your Facebook posts. So you're getting some of your fans to speak up here.
Can I say something? It's always been for me, you see, it's powerful, not because of me, but because of all the people who come on. You see, it's on the internet, but it's an energetic, it's a light and a delight. And it's people coming in and resonating and taking it and running with it, which has created a vortex. So you read the post and you're in the vortex,
Right.
a vortex of hundreds or thousands of people who read this stuff. So it's a global mission, not created by me, but created by all those who are present in any given moment.
I agree. I feel like Facebook, and rather than the other sites, but I feel like Facebook is a way to find soul family, and it always has been. I'm very grateful for it. Some of the people that are on here that are my friends, I talk to them every day on Facebook, wherever they are. So Nikki, what I again want to talk about is the matrix, because we just had elections here, and and 2020 is going to be a presidential election year, and there's just so much contrast that's showing up. Do you have any suggestions for how we can stay in our hearts and stay in a positive, non-fearful way? live that way with all of this showing up?
All my life, there are a number of things that uh, I was taught or sensed and allowed when I was very young, and they've always been present. But one of the things is there is a great plan. There is a great plan, and nobody has knows what it is.
Right.
It's a mighty plan. The universe can only say yes to us, so no prayers go unanswered. The thing is that the matrix has to play itself out, and trying to fathom out who's right and who's wrong and who's this and who's that is just being drawn into the matrix. What the crucial issue is for each one of us is daily, hourly, moment by moment, making the choice between fear and love. Right? And when anything that you see out there, there is an element of fear which includes doubt, apprehension, confusion, procrastination, all those things. They're all of the subconscious. They're all of the mental mind. They're all of the 3D matrix, and it's what you're being fed all the time. That you see it, but you don't take it seriously because you choose love, and love is the higher ground. I mean, everybody, well, not every, so many are worried about Trump and that he's this and he's that and he's done this and he's that. But there may be a higher purpose, a much higher purpose. He's not stupid. He acts stupid and arrogant, but he's not stupid. He's astute. Maybe there's another agenda that
Right.
you don't know and I don't know. And it's not just an agenda he has. There's an agenda that is behind it all, a light agenda. And will you be the agenda behind it all, or will you play in the game of scaring yourself?
Right.
Choice. You've got a choice now. Those of you who are thinking of it now, you've got a choice.
Right.
Hand on heart, do I go to the higher place? Do I
Yeah.
drop in? Or do I go biz, 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 biz?
Well, I think the reason I bring it up is there's a lot of people with the conspiracy stuff. So I see this whole opportunity almost like a chessboard in Star Trek. And in Star Trek, the old Star Trek, where Admiral Kirk and Spock were playing, and it was a glass or plexiglass chessboard that was like 5 layers high. And you could play on this board or you could play way up. And it's like there's a game being played way up that we don't have eyes to see. We may have senses to sense, but we don't have eyes to see. And that's where you have to trust. So it's really about trust. That is, I guess, my question is, how do you trust?
Yeah, yeah. You let go. I know. It sounds like I'm trying to get away with the answer, but the answers are always simple. I wrote in my book, All You Can Be, a simple version of it in a chapter called The Four Pillars of Enlightenment.
Okay.
And I'm going to turn that into the first book of that chapter, into the first little short read.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
At Amazon. But it's basic stuff that everybody knows. The first pillar is awareness, being in the present, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has to do with breath and simple awareness,
Mm-hmm.
being present with whatever is there to be present with, right? Be present. The second one is trust in the universe, that the universe, source, God, is only saying yes to you. It wants to give you more of who you are or what you ask for. And if you live in fear, that's what you're getting, more of that. But when you're in the free will zone, you have to make a choice. And the choice is, do I stay in the fear or do I choose love? And the universe is forever giving you a door, an opening for you to make the choice. And it doesn't feel very good a lot of the time. But all you need to do is make a choice in the moment.
Right.
All you need to do is climb up the hill and see the horizon and look down at the valley and the chaos down there. See it, but not be in it. Any given moment. And smile because you now know. In that point, you know. And it's the remembering of this, the remembering of it. And we're being taught to get stronger and stronger, more in this place 24/7. Everybody, no matter what they're experiencing in their life, is beautifully placed for them to make that choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even some folks, stop climbing out on a limb because you're the trunk of the tree.
Well, and you're creating your own movie, but
Yeah,
it's hard to stop. That's what the thing is. I mean, you're basically saying, stop, take a breath, go into your heart, and
well, here's something that's profound. It seems so simple that people think, oh, yeah, but it's profound. All you need to do is close your eyes for a minute and
okay.
then open them and look around you and just say to yourself, it's a movie.
Ah,
It's a movie. And you can do that with somebody who's in front of you and is being unpleasant. All you need to do is look around, close your eyes a minute, open them, and just say to yourself, it's a movie.
ah,
And you're back again. You've taken off the virtual reality and you stepped out over your chair and you're there. You're home.
you're home. Yeah.
And it's that simple. Do it often and it is a movie. And you can play in the movie.
You can change the channel.
You can pretend with
It's radio frequency. You can just move the dial so you bring in a new frequency.
yeah, that's right. But you're not trying to get away from it.
Right. Oh, okay. So there's no resistance.
Yeah, you're not getting away from the movie. What you're doing is seeing the movie.
Ah,
It is as it is,
okay.
rather because you're no longer just the participant. Nicky Hamid, this Nicky fellow I created, is a participant in it. He's an amazing fellow. What I see through here is the soul being seen. When I choose to see it as a movie, then I see him as the actor in a play, and I can choose what I like
Ah,
in that moment.
in that moment. So it is moment by moment, really. I mean, you can say that you set your day with an intention, but it is moment by moment that
It is. And,
uh,
and so, in the first pillar of enlightenment, with breath work, breath brings you immediately present, and awareness, being present, being here now. The second part is the universe loves you, and it's knowing that. And as you know it, and fill yourself with that knowing and see how it works in your life and see how it works in other people's life, how it plays out in the movie, how the universe is showing this love through the movie, no matter how chaotic it is. Okay. That's one trust. The second trust is trust in yourself. Trust that whatever happens, whatever comes to you, is an opportunity for you to choose love over fear. And the third part, the fourth part, the fourth pillar is a sense of holy, the sense of the sacred, the
ah,
sense that the sense that you're a humble being who is mighty, and that there it is a privilege and an honor to be here. You chose it because this was a gift from God, and you are a point of light in the mind of God. And that is so sacred and so holy. And that's like the underblanket, which is grace and ease and beauty and oneness and innocence. And those are the four pillars of, and whatever I've said is not that.
it's more, but
More.
that's what we can explain or understand. But I teared up at the last one. I mean, these are big. We made big commitments out of our bodies to come down here and to make a big impact. And that's why I do this conscious business zone. Is I think conscious business is one of the ways that we can really transform human kindness and human and share love from a different perspective, because leaders usually lead or have influence over at least 100 people. So if they show up as this loving, kind being that honors and respects others, and they have the resources to keep reinforcing that for themselves, it's not just read a book in the weekend, try it out for a week. That's a business model, like the bestseller business model. But this is really making conscious choices, that seeing the divine in every single person. There is no mistake that they're in your movie. So I have a question though about that. Do you know Dolores Cannon's work?
A little.
Okay. Well, I watched a video. I never got to meet her, but I met people that worked closely with her, that actually are from Australia. And she said that there were extras, that when you go to an airport, there may be people souls that are really souls that are in your experience, but then there's all these other, it's actually energy that agrees to show up as a human for that short time of existence, so that your movie's complete. So she called them extras. Do you see that? I thought that was a fascinating idea.
I'm not sure. It's sort of, I said it's been implicit for me, that, but I see what she's saying. I do understand that. And yeah, I think it happens all the time. Yeah, it does. And there's always something in it for us because, for example, it's always been part of me to accept not just what people call shadow, but the dark side. That the dark side is real, and it's not dark in terms of dark light, but it's a sentient presence. And whereas a lot of light workers now think, well, if you're all light and love, that doesn't happen. Well,
we're in polarity.
Yeah, right. I will say bullshit.
Okay.
I go into a mall, and I love going in because I love seeing the people, and there are these so-called accidental meetings with people where there's a passing of presence, and they're always a gift for me because they remind me of myself. They remind me of where I'm at. They remind me of this beauty and grace, because that's what I'm seeing, even if we're talking about the weather.
Right.
Don't have to talk about spiritual things. In fact, talking about spiritual things gets in the way half the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, I meet those people, but something also may happen. I'll come out and go to my car, and Glenn's been shopping or doing something different, and we come together. We drive off and we start talking, and there's a niggle. Something she says niggles me. What normally would not niggle me. Now I know immediately something from in that wall has jumped, and we'll call it an entity. Something has jumped into my field.
Oh, but is that a gift so you can see?
Well, it is a gift, but what I do is clear that, and I don't have to see what it is. I just ask my soul family. You can see it soul level. You pop in and take it out. They'll take it out immediately. Or if it's in Glenn, or if it's in both of us, it will happen. And immediately afterwards, the niggle's gone.
Wow.
And why I'm saying this is that we have, it's not being vigilant and aware and uptight, but we have to constantly
Clear.
do uh, be present and know what's ours. And most of the stuff people are experiencing is not theirs.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's a daily basis. It's not necessarily big for karma or anything to do with past incarnations. It's one of the reasons we came here to be a present 24/7. Not on guard. A warrior being is guard in themselves. It's the power, the acknowledgement of your might. But my responsibility, my responsibility, because as you expand your field, the awareness of your field, because we're vast, we're vast.
Yes. Yep.
Not just this simple aura around that everybody. The auric field is vast. And
Right.
the higher we go, the vaster we experience it, the more subtle. However, I'd like to switch back just a minute to what you're saying, back to this holy. The sense of holiness is that childlike quality.
Beautiful.
Say childlike, not the inner child, because for me, I don't have an inner child. I am child.
Ah.
I am innocent. I've owned the child I was. I can now pretend. I can imagine anything. And as soon as I pretend anything, if you like positive, my soul family take it up and expand on it, and they feed back to me more of the same so that I can expand my vision and the power of my vision. I choose it, but they feed as a feedback system with our higher self. Instead of looking at politics that's going to change the world, look at your family and interact with them. Share your feelings. Feel their feelings.
Yeah. I think we run from feeling our feelings.
Yeah, and the thing is, the higher in love you go, the more subtle the feeling, because you felt it when you merged with your guide, as it were, your support. The love is,
It was amazing.
but it's subtle,
Yeah.
and yeah, you can't put words on it. It's ineffable,
Yep. Yep.
and it pervades. It comes through you. There's the grace needs. There's the holy presence that you are, and you're in the presence of the holy. So when someone comes to me for help, I'm looking, as it were, right back at soul and its holy presence. That that, and so they can get to experience being seen, sometimes for the first time in their life.
Right. That is a big part of the gift, and I hope I learn how to do that every time because
You're really going. You're
yeah,
really doing.
I
No,
know. I
no,
I I I want to be that. I want to hold the space to see people and see their gifts and help mirror it back to them.
yeah.
Okay, so Nikki, you just mentioned something about 24/7. So what happens when we sleep? What happens? I mean, people say that we go back to our soul, or or on the astral plane, or we have like two lives, this one and that one. What do you think happens when we sleep?
I think if you ask this, what happens in your wakefulness when you're not being mental and analyzing and so on? What happens?
What happens in your wakefulness? I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that.
When you're awake, when you're not asleep. What happens? Uh, where are you when you're not in your mental mind?
Oh, okay,
Your
okay,
presence is a flow and so on, and you can choose in any direction you like.
Right, right.
Same with sleep. It's the same with sleep. You know, your mind is having a rest. Thank goodness. Now you can intend anything just before you go to sleep, and that's what will happen. I mean, when I was young, I was my mother taught me about two temples: the temple of healing and the temple of knowledge. And I used to go to the temple of knowledge a lot. So before I
Oh,
went to sleep, I'd imagine it, and that's where I would go. And if I wanted an answer later on, I developed it. So if I wanted an answer, I'd ask the question, or if I felt uh, further away from myself, I'd write the question down on a card, stick it under my pillow.
yeah. I sometimes I put books under my pillow too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
the more specific you are, the better.
that makes well again simple.
Yeah, 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 that's right. And you get the answer. It may not be what you want, but you get an answer. Our dreams, too. Our dreams are messages from you to you about yourself. So I learned early when I was doing dream work in order to help my students and my clients as part of the client house. I learned to take my dream and identify with every element in my dream. So, I mean, my bad dream was always being chased by a bull or something like that, you know, and you can't quite get away. It's coming and coming, and
It's
and,
terrifying.
yeah. And in the dream, I'm the victim. All right. In the Matrix, I'm made to be the victim. In my dream, I'm the victim. But if I learn to become the bull, who has all this might and power, and is this little dweeb, wasn't quite scared, and it felt powerful.
Oh, so you could experience
That's,
that side.
that's an aspect of me. All the trees that were around, observing this whole play without an emotion apart from being amused.
Ah,
So you see, every aspect of the dream can be an aspect of ourselves. And the dream is like, has often been a way of the subconscious expressing what the ego won't allow to see.
oh. So how do you explain the ego? I'm
Well, I,
helping.
I, I wrote a post yesterday and it explains the ego as I see it.
Okay.
And it's simple. Um, for me, it's the aspect of ourselves which holds to fear. All your fears, all your doubts, uh, that that we're holding. In other words, untruth. The ego wants to maintain that because that's what it knows.
Right. Well, it thinks it's protecting you.
Yeah. But when you choose love, and you're finding people are finding as you choose your love and your truth, ego disappears. It doesn't exist anymore. So uh, when we can put ego into the playroom and say, "Go and play," you're safe now. And there's no fear, there will be no ego. I
Right.
mean, it will be present, but it will not be operative, if you know what I mean.
Well, what I found is the work that releases the ego also releases all the stories.
Yeah.
So because those are the triggers. If you keep telling the story, then you're reenacting and bringing that frequency back in. And so the sooner you can release that, the faster you can get to the joy side.
But the ego can't release the stories. The ego is the part that maintains them.
Right, right.
It's your higher self, if you like, soul being that you are. And you, this Nicky Hamid fellow I created, has to, of his own free will, say, "You take over, boss. You take over, boss. Um, you know, I'm here to play."
Oh, that sounds great.
So it's like we let go and let the divine enough, do the heavy lifting. and it's not heavy for the divine.
Yeah.
And it's constantly doing that. And I know you know what I'm saying. And everyone who's listening knows what I'm saying.
We know it, but I think that's why I was talking about straddling the matrix and this higher frequency is we know it and we go there, but we don't always stay there. We don't get to live there. So that's why your work is so powerful, because I think it's time, the frequencies are such now that we can stay there if we choose, if we know to choose.
And that's where soul family comes in. Soul
Right.
family in physicality as well as soul family. They remind us. They remind us. And I mean, when I ask for any, when I've asked in the last many years for anything, more often than not, it is to remember.
Oh, beautiful.
Please show me the next thing I need to know. Please show me the next thing I need to know. Because that's the thing I can bring life to.
That's beautiful.
And
Yeah.
so it is remembering. I have a group, a closed group on Facebook called um, the Remembering Soul Tribe.
Oh,
And anyone can ask to join. But it's just a place where it's a sanctuary for the open heart. It's just that we get lots of people who don't say anything, who don't write anything, but just want a place where they can belong, as it were, be
right.
connected to, where there are souls, and there's no judgments here. There's no advertisements going on. There's no ulterior motive, but to share when you feel like sharing.
Safe place. Safe space.
Yeah,
Safe.
it's a safe place.
Yeah.
It's not a safe closeted safe place. Because our auras are expanding, not trying to solidify. The opposite of that.
Well, 15 years ago, I had a white light experience where I saw how big I really was, and I was through a process through Avatar, and I looked like an ant in a huge spotlight, and this was the ant. This body was that little ant in the spotlight, and I've spent 15 years asking more of that to come in this. So I totally get what you're saying. We're so huge. We have no idea how powerful we are.
Yeah. Well, you're reversing it the other way. And maybe you, and I know a lot of our listeners will identify with this one. I remember when I was about 7 or 8 years, and I could still see myself walking down the passage in our home. And I suddenly realized, because I started seeing movies, going to movies, in our small town, to the matinee on Saturday morning. And
With your senior discount.
Yeah, right. It was a junior discount then, about 8 years old. And,
back then.
Yeah, 7 or 8 years old. And remembering and thinking, I think I'm in the movie and I'm the only actor in the movie.
Oh.
And God has set it up so that I get to experience this movie. And I'm the one. So I didn't feel that I was mighty. It was all about me. The whole thing was about me. And in fact, it's true. Your whole life has been about you. And so instead of being the ant now, you're the soul being.
Right.
And the ant, not in a diminutive sense, but the ant is a sneaky fellow who gets to play.
Right. And this was supposed to be heaven on earth, and we've kind of got stuck in this other kind of movie, so we don't have to choose it anymore.
No, we don't.
The veil's gone.
And we are creating. And every time you have that creative thought, loving, expansive, connective thought, and you are in good contact with your entourage, they pick it up and run with it. And so they can spread it further
Oh,
because we conduit. I was talking with someone just yesterday who's who's a wonderful man, and he has been so in contact all his life with the fairy folk and the the origins and the nature of the evolution of New Zealand. And we were talking, and oh, I've lost it. I've lost it.
fairy. He was talking about.
Right, fairies, and why we are here. This is the connection. And what I have seen is that we're here to bring the Christ of light. Now, the elementals and the fairies have been partially in the underworld. In the underworld, they have been unseen. Why? Because in the beginning, in the Lemurian times, in the beginning, we were at one. You know, it was all those realms were totally available to us all. But when we fell, as it were, when we went into the shadow, into the matrix, they lost the connection with the cluster
Oh,
because that's what we chose.
oh,
So they went through, and they've always been searching and waiting for it. So as we see the around activating with the crystal, hang on, I think it's echoing again. It's echoing again. Is that you? No, it's a bad echo.
okay. Yeah, the audio's a little distorted again, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Anyway, as they go around planting their crystal and so on, they're doing their work, but there's a bigger job they're doing, and that is bringing the Christ to those places. And as people from different walks of life are going across countries, they're touching
Those crystals.
and bringing the Christ of life, and the elementals are rising up
Oh,
to come to meet us because they've been waiting and yearning, longing for that life, as we, in our own way, are longing for that life.
right,
It's
right.
up to us to bring it forward.
To remember that light, because
Remember.
we're descended from that.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
So you don't have to be a speaker or greatly creative. You could sit in your armchair all day and just bring in the light, and you will be serving as much as somebody else who appears to be in public.
right.
Everyone has that capacity
Yes, yes,
to do what they came here for in the beginning when they heard the call to bring more light
that's right.
wherever they walk.
That's right. It's so beautiful. Well, you bring so much, and thank you so much. We're going to have to wrap up, but I know we'll want to do this again. And thank you so much, Nikki. I hope everyone will get a chance to listen to this more than once because there was a lot of remarkable information, beautiful information in this conversation, and
Thank
hopefully it will help people a lot.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you, dear. And I hope people go to your site and buy your books and then find you on Facebook. Nikki's on Sology with Todd Medina quite a bit. And I think that's how I was lucky enough to find you. So I'm very grateful for that because this is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bless you. And thank you for making the time for this since it's you're 20 hours ahead of us.
I'm looking forward to a good breakfast now.
Okay. Okay, dear. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bless you.
Bye.